Hi everybody, I'm back again with another biomorphic geometric abstract composition, laying down some heavier lines and some shapes here in the iPad Sketchbook Pro app. And now I'm trimming everything out with a lighter line, and you'll see why after a little bit. It'll become more evident the reason behind this. I find this process to be really rewarding. And here we go. And so I'm going to lay down a little bit of color in the background at this point. Yes, I put down some sage over the whole thing. I then matched that color of the sage and darkened it up quite a bit, switched to an airbrush stylus within the app. And I'm going over all of the darker shapes to create the illusion of depth, giving the whole thing a little bit of more of a three-dimensionality to it. And so that's basically accomplished by going around the edges. Things will be darker around the edges if the light's hitting them from straight on. And so what I'm doing here is I'm going around the edges and I'm creating a darker shadow line. And you'll see after a bit how they begin to pop. I darken the pen up again. I go over it a couple more times to really make things pop out around the edge. And then what I did, I switched that same airbrush to a really light color, almost like a white, and hit a lot of the center points of these circles with the white to really make the center of them pop out. Some of the shapes it's kind of tough to notice here because it's in time lapse, but that's what I'm doing at this point. So once that's done, I decide on hey, let me find a color for somewhere in the middle. Probably just a place marker at this point. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that salmon color. Coming in here with some thinner black lines, and you'll see why in a minute, to create a shadow line. And so I'm going to assume that the light source is coming from the upper left, casting the shadow then to the bottom right, which is my typical shadow line. And so this is accomplished by doing an outline and then doing a paint bucket fill. At this point, I'm doing just an outline of a black shadow along the salmon shape. I decided to make that fly a little bit also and hover off of the sage kind of background. And I think at one point I came in here and I thought it looked okay, and maybe then decided that the black on the salmon color was a little bit thick. So I came in here and erased a little bit of it, made it a little bit thinner. And who knows if that was the right decision or not. This is all just kind of a whimsical exercise. I pretty much do these to scratch the creative itch that seems to be constantly going on. At this point, I come in and I kind of rotate it, size it, maybe think about filling the frame with it, and I think I settle on filling the frame. Sign my name, decide that some stuff is missing in the bottom right, upper right, and then bottom left. And I think at this point I pretty much called it done. It all seemed pretty balanced, and you never know, I might go and do a large scale version of this. Thanks for watching.